New data shows a growing portion of the U.S. is becoming unaffordable for people looking to buy a home. And just as concerning, getting home insurance in some climate disaster-prone states like California and Florida is becoming difficult as major insurance companies pull some of their coverage options. So what does this all mean for homeowners and prospective buyers? Joining me right now for more is CBS News contributor Javier David. So what are some of the factors impacting affordability in the housing market right now?
Really, I just want to start this by quoting a number, $496 billion. And that was a figure that the Democrats on the Senate Joint Economic Committee found was costs flooding by itself. So all of what we hear in the news nowadays, flooding, extreme storms, a hurricane season that got off to a really wild start with Hurricane Beryl, which is barreling the Caribbean. All of this is sort of coalescing. So it's always been expensive to buy a house. It's always been rather expensive to insure it as well. But now we're sort of seeing weather risks, extreme weather that's being amplified by a climate that's warming and it's uncontrollable. And basically, you have a number of insurers who are looking at it and reassessing, and this costs a lot of money. And anytime you hear something about a storm, you can best believe that it's going to cost an insurance company a lot of money in terms of property damage. So they're trying to mitigate the risk and they're trying to cut as many losses as they can. And unfortunately, it's the homeowner and the consumers that are being sort of hung out to dry.
When it comes to affordability, we'll set insurance aside for a second. I mean, do you see climate change as having an impact in that as well? Or are there other factors behind why buying that home is so further out of reach for so many people?
As much as people don't like to admit it, and I commend Axios for doing a tremendous amount of research and reporting on this, climate is becoming an increasingly big economic factor when making a lot of these decisions. There is a lot of sort of climate migration happening. That's people that are fleeing flooding and fleeing extreme weather or the effects of extreme weather to go to places or locations where weather is not as extreme a factor. So as much as, climate change in and of itself is very political, it's a very difficult and charged topic to talk about. The facts are undeniable that the extreme weather is being amplified by a warming climate that is increasingly unpredictable and creating unpredictable risks and creating real economic costs for consumers and businesses alike.
What are people supposed to do if they live in an area where there's no coverage, or they, like me, have gotten, letters for different types of insurance saying, by the way, your coverage isn't going to be renewed when it's up?
Yeah, I mean, California and Florida, I think you said this at the top of the conversation, those are the two biggest areas. You basically either have to reconcile yourself to the fact that you're going to pay a lot of money just to be insured, or you're going to have to find a place where it's actually a little bit more affordable. And Florida, for a number of reasons, weather and climate are chief among them, but they have a lot of scams, they have a lot of lawsuits, and that's another economic risk that a lot of the insurers are attempting to flee. But it really does narrow or limit the options available to consumers, because you either have to move to a place. Everybody needs home insurance. You cannot live in a house without insurance. So you either have to bite the bullet, pay the higher costs, or try and find a way to mitigate it by moving to either another location or even another state that is not as prone to extreme weather or flooding or all of these very, very unpredictable, very, very malignant weather problems that a lot of us are facing, but are just more costly to some than others.
Geez, yeah. I mean, if the answer is more people have to move, that's going to be tough for so many people. We'll continue to watch that. Javier David, thank you.
Sure thing.